Hello, and thank you for listening to Your Credit Matters. I'm your host, Ronnie Lambeth, bringing to you each and every day what I think the banks, the credit bureaus, the collection companies, what I think they don't want you to know about your credit, your finances, and your personal debt situation. Because if they can keep you in debt, they can keep you in chains, and they become your owner for the rest of your life. You are a slave to them. They are your master. And the show is dedicated to helping you get out of debt and have good credit at the same time. If you have any questions on how to get out of debt, how to have good credit, give me a call anytime. 888-900-3678. That's 888-900-3678. Or simply go to the website, badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, that's badcreditisAchoice.com. In studio today, I have with me my friend Sean Doan. Sean is a licensed California attorney, is with the largest family of bankruptcy attorneys in the state of California. Thanks, Sean, for coming in.
Greetings, Rondi.
Did I say that right? I always seem to stumble on that. You and your family have the largest...
California's largest family of attorneys.
There you go. California's largest family of bankruptcy attorneys.
Bankruptcy attorneys.
And you help people get out of debt.
We help people get out of debt.
And you help people get out of debt in as little as 120 days.
120 days. As little as 2 days in some situations. Sometimes it's just a phone call to the attorney that's suing the client for a Macy's credit card or a Discover credit card. You know, we know a lot of those attorneys that file those lawsuits, and I guess we have special privileges, you know, where we can settle those credit cards.
Because they know what's going to happen.
Well, yeah, we kind of, you know, scratch their back, they scratch our back, you know. Because we're suing the banks, too.
It really comes down to the old adage, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Really.
Exactly.
You know, I have one of those relationships with GMAC or Ally Bank, and every time I see that pop up on a credit report, it's a simple email. Because I've literally myself have sued them and won, and now I just send them an email and say, look, here's another one. We're going to fix this, or are we going to go to court?
Right. There's an understanding there.
There's an understanding there.
Yeah.
So you specialize in helping people get out of debt. Most of your business is Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Is that right?
Most of the bankruptcy cases we file are Chapter 7.
So it was about 80%?
About 80.
And then the other 20% is Chapter 13.
Chapter 13, although Chapter 13's been getting more popular lately with the whole lien stripping.
That's right. On previous segments, we've talked about stripping the second mortgage from your house.
Right.
So Chapter 7, to recap, Chapter 7 is bankruptcy. You discharge all dischargeable debt, and that there is no limit to how much debt that you can discharge, and there's no minimum.
Correct. There's no minimum debt, you know, that you need to be in order to qualify or to file.
So if I have a $5,000 judgment against me, I can file Chapter 7 most likely and discharge that debt?
You could, but the question is, should you?
Should you? Well, they're garnishing me, and now that means I can't pay my rent, and I'm going to get evicted.
Right. In that case, you know, if you can't get out from underneath it and it's going to drive you to, you know, an overpass, yeah.
I'm 72 years old. I'm retired. I get Social Security, and I don't have enough money to pay it, and they're taking money from my checking account, which means I'm going to be evicted.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Well, or I can have $5 million of debt, and if it all qualifies, I can discharge that as well.
Exactly.
Through a Chapter 7. Chapter 13 is I got to pay back what I can afford.
Debt consolidation.
So that's what it is, debt consolidation.
Right.
So I make $300,000 a year. I have $30,000 worth of debt for whatever reason. I can't
If you're making $300,000,
well, that's probably not a good.
You got a really bad habit of something that you probably should address first.
So let's break it down.
Let's say if you're making $30,000 a year.
Let's say I'm making $30,000 a year and I have too much debt, but I have a little bit left over. I might have to do a Chapter 13, and it really comes down to the.
But why would you do a 13 rather than just pay?
Well, what makes you do a 13 versus being able to do a 7? So I guess that's really what I'm getting at, is why can't I do a 7?
Well, that's the whole thing. Chapter 7 ultimately is going to be the biggest bang for the buck. It's going to give you the most relief. You're going to get rid of all your debt. You don't have to pay any of it back. But if you can't do Chapter 7 because you have too much income or too much assets,
too much
property, which sometimes we see that.
Some people see it.
consider Chapter 13. That's your next best option.
So that's really what it comes down to is if I have the ability to pay it back, but I can't pay back all of my debt, sometimes I have to do a 13.
13, cut the interest, get rid of, some of the usury.
Yeah. So here's what I want to say on that is if you do a Chapter 7 or if you do a Chapter 13, it both has the same impact on the credit score, which is usually about a 50-point decrease on your total FICO credit score.
Is that all it is?
That's all it is, 50 points.
50 points.
50 points.
That's like missing a mortgage payment.
It's less than missing a mortgage payment. It's the same as missing a credit card payment or a car payment. Missing a mortgage payment is almost 100 points.
So there really is no excuse not to file bankruptcy because I don't want to ruin my credit or because I don't want to hurt my credit.
No, I have
that's all the banking industry.
It's all the banking industry, yeah.
Just kind of controlling you.
I have a 780 credit score with the Chapter 7 bankruptcy on my credit. I purposely do not try to get the bankruptcy removed because when I do my seminars, I literally pull my credit and I show it to the audience because I want to show them filing Chapter 7 is not going to hurt your credit. It's a very small, in fact, most of the time it increases your credit score. And I know you see that in your office when you pull their credit and it says that their credit after bankruptcy will be...
Yeah, the forecaster.
The forecaster.
We see it all the time, actually. It actually bumps it up. And, you probably know more about that than I, being that you're in that kind of industry fixing credit. But what is it? Because the debts aren't reported as delinquent, right?
Well, that's what's supposed to happen. And as you and I both know through White versus Experian and all of the other case law out there, the banks don't do what they're supposed to do. If the banks did what they were supposed to do and what was legally required, we wouldn't have $25 billion lawsuits out there like we were talking about in another segment. The banks don't do what they're supposed to do, and that's where I come in is cleaning it up after bankruptcy. So is there any special qualifications to whether or not you can file bankruptcy?
There is. You know what it is? You have to do credit counseling now.
Okay, so in order to file bankruptcy, you got to do credit counseling, which is what?
It's like traffic school. You got to go online, fill out a questionnaire, or you can do it over the phone. I tell my clients, just tell them you retain my office and you're filing bankruptcy and you need your certificate of credit counseling.
And that's it. So in order to qualify...
Speed line me through it,
That's it.
But what it was written for, I think, though, is one last jab at you to see if you can possibly pay back some of your debt through some type of credit counseling. You hear the credit I think it's Christian credit counselors, or
the nonprofit.
Yeah. They're just the bank. It's basically the bank.
It is the banks.
Collecting.
It's the banks that own that founded the nonprofit in an attempt to steer you away from getting out of your debt.
Right. So
that's what I think it is.
It's a joke.
It is a joke. So that's it. If you can take this, how long does that take?
The credit counseling?
Yeah. 15 minutes, 30 minutes?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you have debt, you take this class, you meet with you, which is it's always a free consultation to meet with you. If you qualify, 120 days from now, you're debt free.
There is a hearing you have to attend.
Hearing's pretty simple, right?
About 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah. As long as it's not fraud, it's pretty much straightforward.
Yeah.
You go in.
I'll tell you if there's a possibility that you're looking at
during
fraud,
the consultation.
as long as you're honest.
Yeah.
You got to tell me about it.
Most people that file bankruptcy, it's because life threw a curveball at them. They didn't purposely go out, rack up a bunch of debt to file bankruptcy. That's not who you represent.
Correct.
In fact, you wouldn't represent someone like that purposely went out, wreaked havoc, and they just wanted to take the easy way out.
You know what I do? I got a sign on my wall, and it basically says bankruptcy fraud is punishable by 5 years imprisonment and or $500,000 fine.
Nice.
And I just kind of point to that and I go, you see that? There's the door.
Yeah, and that's not the type of person that actually files most of the time. It's somebody that...
Oh, they'll go file with some rookie BK attorney.
There you go. They go, or with a mill.
Yeah.
With the mill that will take your case up front with no money out of pocket.
Right.
A mill that does not as much business as you, but they don't care about the people. And you see them going in and out of business constantly. They just change their name, and you know who I'm talking about.
Right. We don't need to list anyone particularly.
But I think if you watch TV, you know who we're talking about. So, Sean, thank you so much for coming in. If you got any questions on bankruptcy, how it can help you and your family, or if you just want to talk to me about how it actually impacts your credit score, feel free to give me a call. I'll explain it. I don't have enough time on the show to explain it, but I do when I'm in the office. So give me a call, 888-900-3678. That's 888-900-3678, or simply go to the website badcreditisAchoice.com. Again, that's badcreditisAchoice.com. As always, I'm your host, Rondy Lambeth, bringing to you each and every day what I think the banks don't want you to know about your credit and your debt. I'm giving you the truth, and it's the truth that's going to set you free.